Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Hello, hi, this is Dr. Forum Joshi. I am from GH Patel College of Engineering and Technology, and today we are going to discuss broadly ultrasonics, but in specific it is ultrasonics production and applications. Ultrasonics, as you know, it is one kind of sound, and you can see that the sound can be classified in basic three parts. First is infrasonic, which is less than 20 hertz frequency. Then another is very helpful to us, that is audible sound or acoustic sound, that is between 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz range of frequency. And ultrasonic sound has the frequency greater than 20 kilohertz. And you can see that most of the medical, dental and diagnostics and as well as animals and chemistry applications, they fall belong to the ultrasonics range. Now what are the properties? As we have discussed, the ultrasonics frequency is 20 kilohertz. It has smaller wavelengths, highly directional beam, high energy, high penetration power. It can travel over longer distances, and since it has the higher frequency, it has the larger velocity. So it can travel in different mediums with different velocities, but compared to acoustical sound or compared to audible sound, it is higher in the velocity. Now, what are the production methods? Actually, ultrasonics cannot be heard or cannot be sensed by the human ear. So one has to first of all produce them in the laboratory, and thereafter one can detect them in the laboratory, and then we can think about the applications of ultrasonic sounds in various fields. So there are basically two types of production methods. First is electrical, another is mechanical. Generally, two electrical methods are widely used for the ultrasonic productions. First is piezoelectric generator, second is magnetostriction generator. Now, what is piezoelectric effect? You can see in the animation that this is one is a crystal and the pressure is applied, and if pressure is applied, then you can see that voltmeter shows some of the reading, right? So if the pressure is less, it shows the negative side of reading. So that means in general, in principle, the piezoelectric effect says that when pressure is applied to any quartz crystal, it is not any common crystal, but it is special type of quartz crystal like Rochelle salt, tourmaline, etc., and EMF is induced between the faces of the opposite direction to the pressure. Now, what are those specific type of crystals? They are called piezoelectric crystals. Piezo means pressure in Greek language, and this shows that this is the electricity is generated due to the pressure. And the special examples are quartz crystal. In our day-to-day life, we use this piezoelectric crystal in our kitchen as a gas lighter, right? So if the pressure is reduced in a way, if tension is applied, then the direction of the potential difference is changed. Inverse piezoelectric effect is also true. When electric field is applied, it produces a slight dimension change in the particular quartz crystal. Now we will understand in detail the piezoelectric effect. Say if the quartz crystal is in unstressed state, that means the pressure is not applied. The centers of symmetries of both the positive and negative ions, they are arranged in such a way that they are coinciding each other. You can see in the figure that positive and negative centers of ions, they are coinciding. So no effective charge appears on the electrodes or at the surface. So the charge is balanced. But if it is in stress state, you can see here that when pressure is applied, these centers of different charges, negative and positive charges, they are separated, and due to that center of symmetry is changed. Due to that, on the surfaces, the positive and negative charges are induced, and due to that you are getting the voltmeter reading in a non-zero state. The same way, when the pressure is extended, that means the crystal is undergoing the tension situation, the charges are altered, and you can see that the voltage is in reverse direction. Now with this basic constraint, we can say with these basic things, we can move to the piezoelectric generator. You can see here in the figure there is a simple construction of the piezoelectric ultrasonic generator. These are the piezoelectric driving elements. This is a steel back mass. This is a compression bolt and attachment of the noise piece by the vacuum bracing with copper. Actually the output of the ultrasonic waves is coming like this way, and now these two are the electrodes. This is actually the laboratory idea of the piezoelectric generator, but how in reality schematically we can understand that how the piezoelectric generator works. So for this we will move to the tabletop. They use a transistor with common emitter configuration and if the output of the transistor, say it is the collector junction, it is given to the primary coil called L2 of a transformer, and the transistor is biased with a high tension battery. Now with this L2 one transformer is joined. So this works as the primary of the transformer, and this is a secondary of the transformer. Due to this transformation, the secondary of the transformer, that voltage is given to two metallic plates. In between them one piezoelectric crystal, or say generally quartz crystal, is used, that is enclosed. So here, due to this potential, as we have studied, different vibrations are produced in the piezoelectric crystal, and when this natural frequency of the piezoelectric crystal is exactly equal to the external field frequency, ultrasonic waves are produced from the perpendicular side. Right, now another coil which is joined here at the base emitter junction of the transistor. Now one can see that this secondary coil of the first transformer acts as a primary coil of the second transformer, and here this coil is called L1, and in between these two there is a capacitor joint which is called C1. So now you can see that some of the input of this secondary coil is inductively given to this L1 coil, and you can see that with this L1 and C1, this is given to the input of the transistor. That means some of the portion which is coming through the collector current is taken by this secondary coil, and it is again fed back to the input of the transistor. So this type of circuit is called feedback circuit, and this is actually a positive feedback circuit, right? And this is actually a schematic diagram. You can see that due to the oscillation setup in the LC circuit, there is a frequency which is induced, and that is given by 1 over 2 pi under root of LC. This is actually a well-known frequency equation for LC circuit. So when this frequency, which is the external field frequency, it can be given by 1 over 2 pi under root LC, this becomes equal to the quartz crystal's natural frequency, that is 1 for order 1 and 1 over 2t under root of E by rho, where E is the Young's modulus or elasticity constant of the quartz crystal and rho is the density of the crystal. and T is the thickness of the crystal. When this two becomes equal to one another, then resonance condition is achieved, and at this moment ultrasonic waves of this frequency are produced. And as you can see that here I have put 1. In general, the natural frequency of the quartz crystal is given by P over 2T under root of E by rho, where P is the modes of oscillations of the quartz crystal. Here P is 1 because generally the quartz crystal oscillate in its fundamental mode. For fundamental mode P is equal to 1. For the first mode P is equal to 2. Now what are the advantages of this particular method? With it can produce greater than 30 kilohertz 300 kilohertz frequency of ultrasonic waves first. Secondly, it can produce a specific frequency of the given applied external frequency voltage, right? So it can exactly, if I want to produce exactly 30,000 kilohertz frequency, it can produce exactly 30,000 kilohertz frequency, not more than that, not less than that. So accuracy is at its highest in this particular method, right? But what are the disadvantages? Actually, quartz crystals are very difficult to make, very difficult to be created in the laboratory, as well as this device requires higher accuracy in terms of production as well. So this device is a bit costly compared to the another method, that is the magnetostriction oscillator. Now what is magnetostriction oscillator? For that we'll move to the slides. You can see that magnetostriction generator, it is made up of a ferromagnetic material. It is subjected to, when time varying magnetic field, it undergoes vibration. More or less it is one and the same as piezoelectric generator. Piezoelectricity, the principle is inverse piezoelectricity. Here one gets the direct principle. You can see here that in the animation, that when the materials north and south poles, the domains north and south poles, they undergo time varying magnetic field, they change their orientations, and due to that the material undergoes slight dimension change. If time varying magnetic field is there, then it will undergo vibrations, and more or less it is same as the electrostriction. That is, if time varying magnetic field is applied, if material's natural frequency is equal to the external field frequency, then the ultrasonic waves are created. So you can see here the magnetostriction generator shows that here one coil is wound around the magnetic field, and north and south poles are generated through the coil. This is actually electromagnet, and this is oscillating magnetic field, and here is the nickel strip, that is the ferromagnetic material, and laminated nickel strips are attached to the output diaphragm by silver bracing, and you can see that from here the ultrasonic waves are generated. And what is the mechanical output frequency? That is twice of f if the order is 2f. So how it works for the circuit, we will go to the tabletop. Say a ferromagnetic rod, nickel rod, is made up of, is subjected to a time varying magnetic field. Now how can we generate the magnetic field? Using electromagnets. That means we'll have to mount a coil on the one side of the nickel rod, and this can be joined, say if we call it L1, then this can be joined to a capacitor called C1. And now again we will use a transistor, which is again in a common emitter configuration. So this is collector current IC, and you can see that here the base current is there. This is collector junction, this is emitter junction, and from here the base junction is there, and this transistor is biased with a high tension battery. And what about this end? As we have seen in that circuit, previous circuit, we have taken another coil in order to generate the inductive EMF. Here we will use another principle of physics to take the current back. You can see we have wound another coil at the end of the rod, and the construction is completed. It is given to the base emitter junction of the transistor. Okay, so you can see here. Now we will go for the working of this particular circuit. When high tension battery is switched on, collector current IC is the output of the transistor, and it will go through LC circuit, and this will act as a tank circuit of the whole circuit. This is also a feedback loop, positive feedback loop, but this particular L1C1 is acting as a tank circuit. And now you can see that if L1C1 undergoes vibrations, then around L1 there will be a magnetic field, and this crystal will be, or this ferromagnetic rod will undergo vibrations due to this time varying magnetic field. When rod's natural frequency becomes equal to the external field frequency, from the perpendicular side the ultrasonic waves are generated, right? So main purpose is served. Now one can see that n number of, particularly n2 number of turns are wound at the another end of the rod, right? So this n2 will not change, but due to the dimension change, the flux associated with L2 will change. And whenever, as you know, that whenever the flux is changed, there will be an EMF induced between these two ends of the L2, and this EMF is given back to the BE junction, to the input of the transistor. So what we are doing here also, that the output of the transistor, we are taking some part of the output and we are feeding back to the input. So this type of circuit is called feedback circuit, and this is a positive feedback circuit. As I told you, that this acts as a reservoir of the energy. This conserves the energy, and as per the requirement it gives back to the transistor so that the collector current will be sustained. So this type of circuits are